These two stories were alike, though the American version lacked the cloying, more in sorrow than anger tenor the British broadsheets favoured, because our media classes are alike. Journalists in New York and London have far more in common with each other than they do with their working-class compatriots. Equally, our working classes have come to resemble each other far more than they do the opinion formers in their own countries. These populist movements were expressions of the same disquiet. They were powered by disaffected workers who sought a return to a gentler age, an era of full employment and economic sovereignty. They tapped into deeply felt convictions, held across the aisle. Yet the men at their vanguard, Boris Johnson and Donald Trump, are curiously free of any ideology at all. They are gaffe-prone opportunists whose bumbling public personas conceal cause of ruthless self-interest. Neither Johnson nor Trump cares about the working class, but somehow they were able to catch the cresting public mood and rebrand themselves as champions of the poor. I was the only journalist I knew who wasn't shocked by the referendum result. I had recently returned from Aberdeen, the oil capital of Britain, where I'd spent 6 months interviewing offshore workers. The industry was contracting, and the men were worried for their futures, for their families. They felt abandoned by the Labour Party, Britain's answer to the Democratic Party, which had dropped class analysis in favour of identity politics and was too busy waging a culture war to advocate for the interests of ordinary working people. A great number of offshore workers come from Teesside, in the northeast of England. This area is best understood as a kind of British Rust Belt. It once had mines and manufacturing industries. Now it has 0-hour contracts and call centres. The men face a choice: to live on welfare, to take an unskilled job that pays so poorly they have to top up their wages with welfare, or to go offshore. Many will have worked in heavy industry for years, at the Teesside Steel Works or the defunct ICI chemical plant. Offshore, their skills are in demand. When I talked to these men, the issue of Europe kept coming up. Offshore, Eastern European workers were prepared to do the same job for 1/3 of the money. British workers complained about being undercut, but no one was listening. Neither of the two main parties cares about cheap labour. This is where the avid free market ethos of the right and the benign borderless ideals of the left merge. The old left, the socialist movement that once represented workers' rights, no longer exists in any real way. Meanwhile, the new left tells workers worried about the economic effect of unchecked migration that they're racist. The relationship between the northeast of England and London is roughly analogous to the relationship between Pennsylvania and Philadelphia. No one cares about the area until there's an election. Our last general election was an upset of sorts. It codified the working class desire to leave Europe. Boris Johnson had promised Brexit, whether he could get a deal or no. The Red Wall, a block of Labour seats running from northeast Wales to northeast England, tumbled down as the Labour heartlands pivoted right for the first time in living memory. For a long time, Labour had assumed ownership of the North. It took the Northern vote for granted. Too often, people near the centre of power treat Northern England as one homogenous block. Southerners don't bother to distinguish between the Northeast and the Northwest. To them, we're all clueless rubes. There's a phrase they trot out: "It's grim up north." To be fair, it can be. The North is poorer than the South. Its economy has suffered at the hands of successive Conservative governments. A cultural rift remains between the two. Liverpool, the northwestern city where my parents were born, suffered particular hardships. In the 1980s, Southern football fans taunted Liverpool supporters by singing their own anthem, "You'll Never Walk Alone," back to them, with repurposed lyrics. Sign on, with a pen in your hand, 'cause you'll never work again. Notably, Liverpool rejected Brexit. It also remained a Labour stronghold, even as the Red Wall crumbled. The rest of the country may be forgetful. This region remembers. Periodically, the Conservative Party will don a new guise and caper about, trying to fool the electorate. Scousers are immune to such blandishments. The Conservatives will never get into power here. They will never be forgiven for what